You talk about mindset. Who's the biggest proponent that's on your side that teaches you about like the mindset aspect of fight? Not really the drilling part, but then like, all right, it's like, all right, Jackson, like, listen, man, you just go in there, be confident, or however they talk you up. Like, who is your biggest influence when it comes down?
I think it's not just one person, but just kind of the circle that I'm in. Yeah. Like training with the Tackett brothers, training with Cody, training with Nicky Rod and
Those
Damien.
are some, yeah,
it's a lot of really good guys, and they are mostly grapplers besides Cody and Damien. But it's like, they've competed a bunch of times in jiu-jitsu. Cody and Damien have the MMA fights now. And it's really just learning from them, learning from their experiences. Because I had a lot of Muay Thai fights, but they were fighting MMA before me. And, I used to always go watch Cody fight MMA, be there for him, kind of see how he does everything before he fights, because a lot of times I would go watch Cody when I was like 14, 15, even 16 years old because I couldn't fight MMA in Texas yet. Not with head contact. I didn't want to do MMA without head contact. So I kind of get to see the buildup of everything for him. Same thing with Damien, how they prepare, how they feel, the kind of the nerves, what goes on before. So I got a good idea of everything for that before I even did my first MMA fight.
Right. What do you see? Like, how are you feeling at that time? We talked about a little bit of, before the walkout, your first pro fight, man. Are you getting butterflies in your stomach, man? Or are you just kind of like calm? What's going on, man? I think it is a big spotlight, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been there a lot of times now, even though I've only done 3 MMA fights, the Muay Thai fights, and just being there watching other people, even though, I'm not the one fighting me. If I'm watching Cody or Damien, I'm still there and kind of, all right, thinking in my brain, all right, I'm going to be here in a year, 2 years, whatever it is, that I'm just already starting to prepare myself versus the moment's happening. I'm like, oh, this is catching me off guard. Just starting to just be really aware of, all right, this is going to happen at this time. I need to be ready for this. Or I remember last year, last year's 2024, right? Like in January, I was like, all right, I'm going to fight MMA this year. So I was already preparing myself in January, like, all right, mentally I need to prepare that I'm fighting MMA in September or whenever it's going to be, just so it doesn't come around when I'm about to get a fight and I'm like, oh, now I need to, prepare myself mentally. Even though, I could be ready in a month or 2 months. Better to have that, extra 7 or 8 months behind me already versus just kind of like a quick, like, all right, gotta flip the switch,
Yeah, man. I guess it's just one of those things. You are your environment, right?
Yeah.
And what you talked about, like with the guys that you've been hanging out with, I mean, they're pretty renowned at this point, right? Like that's how, I've known of you. And then it's like, there's just talk, there's just all this hype with you. You're 17?
17, yes,
17, yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, and then once I was listening to one of the podcasts too, once you grow into like 21, 20, dude, sky's the limit.
For sure.
And I see, that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, damn, like I know. Yeah. So talking about that, is there a lot of pressure on that too? Or do you just not think about that? Because of your trajectory and all the high level people that you do train with, there's expectations there, right? Like, I mean, I guess that's why I'm asking you, so to get your point of view of it. What kind of like, is the expectations high for you at this point, or you just don't think about that stuff? I
try to, if someone's like saying a lot of stuff about that kind of stuff, it's, in one ear out the other, because I don't want my head to get too big or too low.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm training, or even when I, if I go and fight and I win, regardless of how I win or how the fight goes, like I'm never gonna get too high on it because there's the next one, or if it doesn't go as well, I'm not gonna get too low because there's the next one. I think what I've learned from some people is that, they win or they have a bad performance. Let's say they win, they get super high, they're so happy about it, then, they don't start to train as hard. And then it's like, they go up here and then are sort of come back down here. Yeah. Versus like, or if they lose, let's say they're here, now they go down super bad, with confidence, or they don't feel as good, or, they get discouraged. Now they lose 2 fights in a row. They don't start to do as well. I think a big thing that helped me too with that was competing in ADCC tournaments where, let's say it's double elimination, or I do like 2 brackets. So let's say I win the first one, I lose the second one. All right, I still have 6, 7 more matches left. So even if you lose, I can still kind of come back and work my way back up.
Right.
The first couple times I did it, like I didn't do super good. Me and my one of my best friends, Davis, he would always kind of travel with me. So Davis, since I was like 14 years old, I couldn't drive yet, and my parents were working. He would drive me to class every day, and take care of me, make sure I was training, helping me drilling, whatever. So a couple times we would go to like Florida, we'd go to Jersey, Vegas, and we would go. He would take me to go compete in those tournaments. Even though the first 2 or 3 maybe wasn't great, but that 4th one, I remember one time I won like 7-1, and then I won, one of the opens, and then just got better each time, and then ADCC trials I made. I think top 64, which still, it's not as good as I wanted, but it's a big improvement from the first time where I lost first round,
Right.
Just kind of slowly improving each time. And obviously as I'm getting bigger, it only helps.
Yeah, you got tall as shit from like a year ago.
Yeah, I think I grew like 5 inches, you know.
Yeah,
maybe a little less, but.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like even with the ADCC trials, right? I would have figured that, not that there's nothing on the line, but then compared to like now you're doing this kind of for a living, right? I mean, you're going pro and it's pretty much your life now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good that you got all those, like competition experience in. Like you said, 15, what is it, over 15 Muay Thai fights and WBC? Like,
yeah. 17 Muay Thai fights and 3 MMA.
Damn.
So yeah, my last fight was my 20th like striking fight, or that has striking involved. So that was pretty cool.
So on the other side of that, like you've had all this experience. When was the time that you like was a fight that you were like, oh shit, like I'm in trouble? You know what I mean? Or was it ever like that, or do you just pour it on people?
Probably not yet. There's definitely some good kids that I fought, like doing like the WBC tournament.
Yep.
The kid I fought in the finals, I was like 5'6" at the time. He was like 6'1" or 6 foot tall. Maybe a little bit shorter, but he was like way taller than me, and he had like 50 fights. So he had a lot of fights, and he was like he was like a big favorite to kind of win the division. So before that fight, I didn't really think too much of it because I'm only gonna get in my head thinking, oh, this guy's so good, whatever. I just believe in myself, I believe when I'm on and I feel confident, I'm standing in front of anybody, like I feel confident, Obviously, that's not every day. Some days you spar with people and you're like, you spar with someone that has no fights and it'd be really rough. Or you can spar with someone who's super high level and I'm like, oh, I feel great. No one can touch me right now. And obviously that's what happens with training. You have a lot of good days, a lot of kind of okay days, a lot of bad days. But if you always never get too high, never get too too low, I feel pretty good about, all right, I know I'm going to get that good day again. I know I'm going to get, that okay day, that bad day again. But just keep knowing that it's going to be that good day again.
What's your process on like striking, man? Do you focus on just one thing at a time every training session, or do you just like put it all together? What's your thought process when you're training, particularly in striking?
I think it's the way that how my coach Ellen Wells has us train. Usually we do every day at 10:30, me, Damien, and Ellen will do like a private session together. So do about an hour and a half every day, and then maybe stuff at night, kind of change it. But we really focus on that hour and a half time. That's the time that I really see the biggest improvement. Is we're really starting to like put everything together, want to work on, and he takes notes for every session. So at the end of every session, we kind of go over what we did good, what we could do better for like what I tell Damien, what Damien tells me, and what Eldon saw as well. So let's say Monday we do this needs to be better, or this was good. Then Tuesday we kind of pick up back up on that, and then maybe the practice is around that. So it's like, let's say my jab wasn't a sharp today. Maybe the next day we're gonna work on my jab, or my cross was really sharp today. It was looking good. Maybe tomorrow we're gonna focus on the cross and stuff we can do off of the cross. Just kind of building those things. But I think that's what really helps. And then, over time, like, when I first started training Muay Thai, I wasn't great. No one's great the first day. Sure. But over time of kind of training like that, kind of putting these things together, now it's all just muscle memory for me. Where, in front of somebody, if one thing's running, like kind of the whole engine's running.
It's like a flow state, right?
Exactly.
Like you get into like just like not even thinking about it anymore.
That's when I'm at my best, is when I'm not thinking about it. I think that's, John Jones talks about that a lot, kind of like the flow state and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that stuff matters.
How do you personally get into that? Like you said, is it just like a day-to-day basis of how you feel? You're just on it? Or is there a process to that where you're like, all right, man, I'm just going to be light on my feet? Like, what do you think about when you're, especially when like pre-fight camp or something, when you need to be on? Like, how do you turn it on?
I think for me, it's just like when I'm sparring, I want to be free. I want to be open. Like the more times I think, obviously you got to be thinking a little bit, but can't be hesitating. The more you're thinking, the more you're hesitating, the more you're waiting, the more something could change in an instant. Fighting is very different where I think like most sports, you play football, it's 4 quarters, there's, 15 minutes. You got time, you're on offense, you're on defense. Yeah. Fighting, it constantly switches. There's, you could be winning for, 14 minutes, and then that 15th, right before that 15th minute, you lose. Look at Usman and Leon Edwards. Usman was dominating the fight. Once the first 4 rounds, gets knocked out with a minute left. Yeah. And it's like that really sucks. It's like you're winning a whole fight. When does that ever happen in football? If you're up 28 points, they score 1 touchdown. You don't lose. You're up. 3 touchdowns.
There's a very It does happen, but not as often.
Exactly.
Right?
Like you could be winning, you maybe choke a lead, that kind of stuff happens too.
Yeah,
but it just, in striking, it just
you
changes,
get countered,
changes,
you get checked. It's over, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to talk about. So I think I talked to Cody or someone or Vince actually last week. Is there was there any like kind of trauma in your life that caused you to fighting? Because I think as a fighter, this is kind of like a fun subject to talk about.
Yeah.
Like everyone's nice, right? Everyone's kind at the gym. We're all brothers and stuff like that, brothers and sisters. But then it's kind of like, hold on, man, why are you fighting? You're a little bit off, right?
Yeah,
like, you know, like some people got bullied, some people didn't have parents, some people were poor.
Right.
Do you think there's something underlying reason that you fight?
I know when I was younger, I've always had kind of anger issues. You know, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, there you go, man. That's what I want to get out.
But I know a couple times when I was younger, there's just one time when I was in New York and I was like 2 years old, and this kid we were hanging out. It was like my friend.
Did you say you were 2 years old?
2 years old.
Christ. All right.
And he kept like turning light switch off. Yeah. I wanted the lights to be on, so I like punched him in the face and like made his nose bloody. At 2 years old, you know.
Yeah.
There's a couple other times when I was like punching people, and I remember when I was younger, I had like a lot of anger issues where I would just kind of flip out like pretty easily. But then I think as time went on, hanging out with like a lot of different people growing up, it does chill out. But there's like certain times, you know, I talk about those 30 good days, 30 medium days, 30 bad days. There's definitely that 30 bad days where, you know, I'm sparring people. If someone lands something, I'm okay with it. And there's some days where someone touches me with a jab, I might get a little crazy.
Right. Hold on. Talk about that principle, man. You said 30 good days, 30 bad days. That's like a framework, man.
I think 30 good days, 30 okay days where maybe let's say I go do a training session, I'm doing some things well, some things, you know, okay. And 30 days where it's like they're rough, they're harder to get through. Stuff isn't clicking as well. Yeah. Maybe it's not exactly 30, 30, 30, obviously.
Okay.
But I think there's a majority of like you get a percentage where it's like you'll have these good days, these okay days, these bad days.
These bad days,
you know?
yeah.
And bad day doesn't mean like, oh, I'm just getting destroyed. It just means that, you know, stuff isn't clicking. Maybe I'm not entering the flow state as easy. Maybe
right.
I'm
Your
not
brain fogged a little bit.
Yeah, maybe stuff that I usually do well, I'm not doing well.
Right.